everyone. I'm Erika Del Sordo. Welcome to today's Talk with Erika. Thank you so much for subscribing to my YouTube channel and audio podcasts. And thank you for liking my shows. So, we've all heard of United Way. If you haven't, you're going to learn a few things within today's show. United Way of Suwannee Valley is a volunteer driven community impact organization with a mission to advance the common good through community impact initiatives and agency support. What does that mean? Well, with me today is Jennifer Ankers. Jennifer joined United Way of Suwannee Valley in 2018. Prior to becoming their executive director, she spent 25 years in the child welfare arena. She received her master's in social work from Barry University and is a licensed social worker and has been working in not-for-profit as an administrator for her entire career. Originally from Southwest Pennsylvania, she first moved to South Florida where she began her career. Now Jennifer is spending a lot of time with her two teenage daughters up here in North Florida. So welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
You are welcome. So you're originally from South Florida, and that's where I came from.
Is that right?
Yes.
What part?
What part? The Fort Lauderdale area.
Okay.
We'll leave it at that.
Great.
Well, specifically Hollywood. I was born and raised in Hollywood, Florida. So,
Okay, great.
yeah. So I met you here with the Chamber, Lake City and Columbia County Chamber of Commerce, and we are in a leads meeting, and you're talking about all these wonderful things that United Way is doing, and the certain things that really affect, what's happening with COVID 2020, 2021. Talk to me about what it is you guys do and go into how that's been affecting work, how COVID's been affecting things.
Sure, absolutely. So I'll start with telling you about how the United Way is also the homeless coalition for our region. So the United Way and the Homeless Coalition covers Columbia, Suwannee, Hamilton, and Lafayette counties here. And what the Homeless Coalition does is we write federal and state grants to provide services to persons experiencing homelessness and those who are at risk of homelessness. We've been the Homeless Coalition since 2004. And so each year we write grants and we assist families and individuals who are facing that situation. With COVID, wow, feels so bad for so many more families who are finding themselves in that situation, mostly at risk of becoming homeless because they haven't been able to pay the rent due to lost income, due to their employment shutting down or reduced hours. And fortunately, with COVID came additional funds to assist those individuals. So the first thing that we did in April of 2020 is we started a private relief fund operated by the United Way. And we received donations from community businesses, individual donors over the course of a few months. And we were able to assist 173 families with rent and utility assistance with those funds. And then in August, the Columbia County received their CARES dollars, and they contracted with us to provide individual rent and utility assistance to people in our county. And so we administered $1.5 million of the county's care funds and helped 475 families with those dollars, which was great. Unfortunately, that fund, by federal guidelines, ended December 30th. The next round of CARES dollars we did not receive because it only went to counties of a population of over 200,000 people. Now, I can promise you there were still so many people in need when the county CARES dollars ended on December 30th, and there still are. I think that a lot of us have been able to remain at work or not have lost income, but there are so many who still are struggling. And I think that if we put it in perspective, the majority of the population of Columbia County, just as one example, lives paycheck to paycheck. Those who are working live paycheck to paycheck. So if you can imagine being out of work for a month, 2 months, most businesses were closed down for 2 months at least, how far behind you just got. So even if you're back to work, you're still struggling to catch up. Because of the federal and state dollars that we receive, we were able to write a grant for additional funds for the Homeless Coalition. So we've been administering that, and we are hoping to receive additional funds from one of those grants here next month. So we'll be able to help even more people during that time.
That's wonderful to hear. Now, outside of those grants and those funds collected, especially throughout 2020, 2021, where do you typically get funds from?
Well, for the Homeless Coalition, they all come from federal and state grants. And those dollars can only help persons experiencing homelessness or families experiencing homelessness or people who are at risk. Maybe they've gotten a 3-day notice or they've been evicted. So that is one part of what the United Way does. Another part, a large part of what the United Way does is we have a community investment fundraising campaign every single year. All United Ways around the world do this. And we raise dollars from businesses and individual donors. And all of those dollars go to local agencies who apply for grants from those dollars. So we call it the Community Investment Fund. And now more than ever, those dollars are so needed because on one hand, you have these individuals who are affected because they lost their income. So they're needing help with rent, but they're also needing help with so many other social services that our agencies referrals have grown, their needs have grown. They're trying to provide more services to more people with the same dollars they had last year. So we're really trying to raise money from our community for our community investment fund. And none of the donations we receive for the community investment fund go to our homeless coalition. It all goes out to our agencies and it all does stay local.
Okay, very good to hear. Are you noticing though, and I know because with COVID, a lot of people were not able to evict. Are you really seeing that many more people because of COVID, on the street? Or I don't know how that's working with folks not being
Right.
able to evict those who and essentially of course they can't because if no one has an income, and I know that works both ways, they
Sure.
clearly have a property that they need to collect on, but then you've got people out of work. So that's really
Right.
tough.
So, Erica, we're really in this strange cycle. And I think that pre COVID, we knew we might be, but once COVID hit, it was probably by May of 2020, we realized that we had no affordable housing left to house people who were experiencing homelessness. And so that really was quite an eye opener. Now, with the eviction moratorium, people weren't moving or being evicted.
Mhm.
So there was no place to house someone new. And people were, we didn't see a rise in people becoming homeless as a result of the eviction moratorium. But how sad is it that we're trying to house a homeless person and we're going to put them in a place of someone who is evicted who's now homeless,
Right.
so it's this terrible catch 22 that we have without having affordable housing in our community. So when the eviction moratorium does lift, I'm hoping that with the funds that we're receiving, the additional funds we're receiving, we'll be able to catch a lot of people up and prevent them from becoming homeless and being able to stay in their current place. But at the same time, where are we going to put the people who are homeless and truly trying to find somewhere to live?
Right, and that's so true. So there's that,
Mhm.
and then there's the fact that United Way of Suwannee Valley also supports those affected by disaster. I'm assuming, when we've got the hurricanes and stuff. So
Right.
how is 2021 going to be affected by that?
Well, let's just hope that we don't have any disasters, first
Yes.
of all,
Whew.
for sure.
Fingers crossed.
You know, I'll tell you, a hurricane coming through our area, any area, in all honesty, would truly be devastating because everyone is hurting so badly already. And the role that United Way of Swanee Valley takes when there is a disaster is we convene the long-term disaster recovery committee, and that's comprised of businesses, individuals, social service folks, so that as a group, we can really look at those who were impacted, who maybe lost their home or had their roof fallen in, and we manage the funds that come into our county to assist people. So this committee of volunteers, business people, et cetera, really vets those applications for people who were impacted by a natural disaster.
Okay.
But being, the convener for the long-term disaster committee and assisting with long-term disasters, it really put us in a place where having a COVID relief fund and managing that, along with us being a homeless coalition, a very smooth process and transition. So we didn't really have any lag time in getting our dollars out into the community.
I'm sure. I'm sure. Well, that's good. Oh my goodness. You guys do a whole lot for so
We
many
do.
people.
We have a lot going on. And we're
Mhm.
always looking for ways that we can get out to educate people on what we do. And so we really appreciate this opportunity to be here today, because anyone listening might have a neighbor or a church, someone in their church or a relative, or maybe even themselves who need assistance. And so we really want people to know what is out there, what is available, because unfortunately there's so little available that the more we can educate people, hopefully they can find resources. When
Right,
people
right.
do need assistance, we do encourage them to call 211. 211 is a
Mhm.
national number that people can call for referrals. Basically, you call, you tell them what you're looking for, they'll ask you your zip code, and they'll give you a list of referrals closest to you. So if you are having a need for food, it's a great number to call. Right now, until additional funds come into our community, immediate funding for rent or utilities is so limited. But if another agency does have funding for that, 211 would be aware of that as well.
211 is great for that. I voiced, it was probably about 15 years ago, I had done a commercial, if you will, for 211.
Oh,
And
yes.
man, that's a great resource to have. So
Yes.
many people use it, and it's necessary, and
Yes.
that is wonderful. And like you were saying, by the way, this does work both ways, because folks, I'm sure, want to know, how do you donate? How can they help those in homelessness? How do they help United Way? And then there's the other aspect of, oh my goodness, my neighbor is about to be homeless, or I know this person who is home. So this works both ways, and who
Sure.
this specifically can help.
Right.
Yeah. So
Right.
thank you. Thank you very much for being here.
Mhm.
Rapid rehousing, that program. Talk to me about what happens with that.
So, rapid rehousing is one of the grants within our homeless coalition that is funded by the federal government, by HUD. And it's a fantastic program because it really does work with people who are experiencing homelessness and those who are at risk of homelessness, because it also includes case management. We don't just find a house for someone or apartment for someone and pay their rent. That's not what we do. We do assist with rent payments and help with rent, but we also have a lot of case management on top of that, where we're really trying to find out from the client, what were their barriers? How did they get into that situation that they're in? And then from there, we work on alleviating those barriers or preventing those barriers from returning. So was it lack of employment? I mean, all of this, rapid rehousing still exists post-COVID, and we're expecting additional funds for the rapid rehousing program here next month. But even pre-COVID, um, if people lost employment and that's why they were found themselves in this situation, we really work with them on providing employment opportunities, connecting them to employment trainings, um, letting them know of job opportunities that we see in the community, or if it's mental health issues, really getting them connected to a mental health therapist or service or psychiatrist, whatever services they might need. So we really tie that case management to it, because at the end of the day, when we're done paying their rent, we want them to be sustainable and able to live there forever.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was going to say 211, United Way is all over the place. So if anyone calls 211, also they'll be able to get all of all the benefits that United Way offers
Right.
in their area, because they'll
Right.
connect you with your area's organization.
Yes.
Okay. And this is fantastic. You gave me one of these brochures of
Yes.
the United Way. And that is just, I was going through here and I thought, this is fantastic, because in a nutshell, in one brochure, it really goes through everything. And of course, there's 211, and everything people, need is right there. So, my goodness. Well, I mean, thank you so much for all that you do. You've been with them since 2018, but you've done work prior to this. Who were you with in South Florida? Where did you work there?
So when I was in South Florida, I started with, I have to think back so long ago. I started with the crisis line.
Get your
And
resume
so,
out.
yeah, get the resume out. Where have I been? I
Yeah.
started the crisis line, and then I went to Boys Town.
Mhm.
And when I left South Florida, I went to Orlando, and well, and worked at Boys Town, both in South Florida and then in Orlando, and Children's Home Society, and then now the United Way.
You have a ton of experience in this, and that's exactly what, they need. So that's really awesome. Did I miss anything? Would you like to add anything to today's podcast?
No, I guess I would like to add that if anyone's listening from our area and they would like me to come out and do a presentation to their company or their church, we are more than willing to do that, to talk about the services we provide. And also for those who have not been affected by COVID, if you would like to donate, you can donate to our Community Investment Fund or our COVID Relief Fund, and you can do so on our website, which is unitedwsv.org, or you can call us as well. We're also always looking for volunteers. So if you want to find a way to get involved in our community, please let me know and we can find the right place for you as well.
I think that's great for businesses. I think, an entire business to volunteer to get a bunch of people out at once to help. I think that would be fantastic. Thank you. And remember, any links that we mention are going to be in the info section on both the YouTube channel as well as the audio podcast. So I'll have that website. Is there anywhere else you want folks to find you? Is anywhere on social media, anywhere at all?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Like us on Facebook. We're also on Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter. And I have a funny story. Well, it's I think, inspiring story, but we have, like I said, a lot of volunteers who really help us out so that we can keep our staff costs to a minimum so we can get that money out into the community. But we have a high school volunteer who does our Snapchat and Instagram. And so, which is fantastic. And she does such a good job. So check out her stuff. She really researches what the United Way is about and make sure it gets out to the community.
I really like that. I mean, I'm not even on Snapchat. United Way is there. That's awesome.
There you go.
That's awesome. Well, again, thank you very much. It's been very, very, very educational and inspirational to everyone listening, because I think everyone needed to hear this and find out what's going on, and especially throughout this COVID crisis that's not completely ended yet. So,
Sure.
Thank you very much, Jennifer.
Thank you, Erika.
Have a lovely
Have a
evening.
good day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Today's Talk with Erika. Join me next week for another discussion with the experts who help make life easier. Please visit my website, erikadelsordo.com, where you'll find all of my social media platforms and more. And be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Once again, thanks for listening.